Welcome to this video on the Quadrafire 2100 Millennium wood burning stove. Made by Quadrafire for over 45 years, family owned and operated, and the company got bought out into a big brand that could continue the legacy. The stove's been made for over 3 decades. It's a very reliable stove. It comes with the operating manual. It comes with a place where you can put the serial number, which is easily located right on the back. And I'm going to give you a quick video on how to start a fire and a quick overview, a real world, not paid review of the stove and how to light a fire. It's recommended that you use 16-inch logs, which we have here. We're going to test it. This is 18 right there. So we're at 18 1/4, and you can just barely put it in there. It needs to be behind this lip right here, so we're almost flush. A way you can cheat is go on an angle like that. So an 18-inch log is the max. They recommend when you start the fire that you have 4 ingredients available to you. First, you need multiple pieces. They say 10 pieces of newspaper. You need about 10 pieces of wood. I have 4. We need about 4 to 10 pieces of the smaller kindling. This stuff's split and dry pine in good condition, a little bit of birch. And then you need 3 to 4 pieces of this. One of the beautiful things that some people don't realize about the modern stove is there is a baffle inside. If you can zoom in and look up, you might even see the white blanket where my hand is. All the smoke comes up. The apex of the flame is interrupted by the ceiling baffle. And then go ahead and pull the camera back a little. That flame comes up, it gets interrupted right here, and it has to come forward, up, and then it goes on the top of the baffle. Zoom back a little. It's got to run right underneath this plate all the way to the back and up the venting system. It's very important in our elevation here in Colorado. I'm at almost 8,000 feet right now. You've got to have a 16 to 17 foot system to get the proper draft. That's the suction, the horsepower that draws the fresh air through the system. Highly recommended in all installs to do a fresh air kit. It's 4-inch diameter on most Quadrafires. Right through the outside wall, and you need to bring it into the appliance so you have a net zero impact of the air volume within the building envelope. Okay, so inside the firebox, our fire is going to be burning. It's going to be a little bit hard to light, so we're going to leave the door ajar for a few minutes, and we're going to babysit it, and then we'll come back in about 15 minutes after it establishes. But let's go through the lighting process. First, we put in most of our paper. That'll create like a fluffy base to let air get under it. Not that it's super critical on these because they have air injection basically at the top, the front, and in this one in the rear. In fact, let's take a look at the rear air, which is going to come up in just a minute. Come inside with the camera here and look at this back wall. I'll use a stick pointer. Do you see these 4 1/4-inch holes right there? That's going to come up in a few minutes when we do air control. And then if you'll please view right here, this, you can come forward with the camera. Right here is a little slot. If you can detect 2 rivets separate these pieces of metal with an air slot. And there's actually an air chamber up the right and left side that bring that air up. And this creates an air wash. Zoom out, just come back a little. The air wash will come down, an invisible moving sheet of air, come under the fuel load, hit the turbulent air of the rear, burn on the fuel load. It can't get out easily, so it creates all this turbulence in the firebox, forward, up, and then out. And then right down here, this little cover, there's a little hole drilled inside of here. It's a little slot, about a 1/4 inch. You can't really see it. But this is like a Boy Scout blowing under your fire. How cool is that? So you're going to see that in a few minutes when we light this. There's a slogan for Quadrafire. Nothing burns like a quad. The word quad is Latin for 4 because there's 4 different places where the fresh air enters the firebox and engages with the fuel load. In order to get maximum burn efficiency, and I assume you guys are just watching what I'm doing, loading it up, you need to get the 3 T's correct. The 3 T's are time, temperature, and turbulence. When you get the 3 T's correct in your firebox, you will have a very efficient burn and near zero opacity, OPA, opacity of smoke. So when we go outside and we take a video of the top and the smoke coming out, we want to see right through the smoke. We just want to see heat waves. And you say, Byron, no way you can have a fireplace that burns with 0 opacity. Well, it's right in the owner's manual. You're going to make adjustments until you get there because we really do want 0 opacity. Now this one might be challenging. I was bragging about it earlier, but I think because of my fuel load height, oh, I got her in there. We got in on an angle. I don't know if I can get this one in there now. This one might be a little bit of a challenge. So that's why we want that 16-inch wood. I'm just going to play a mix and match game. Got a little bit longer wood than we'd like. Real world stuff right here. Let's see if I can tuck these guys in here. We're a little close to the front. Now, this brings up a potential problem. This air wash is a dropping sheet of air, an 1/8 inch wide, 12 inches wide, or 1/8 inch deep, 12, and it's going to move down. This piece of wood's going to interrupt that right inside this sheet of glass. So we're going to get a black spot right here after 5 to 15 minutes, and then after an hour or so, that log will burn and fall in, and it will clean itself up. It's like self-cleaning. So we're going to put a little bit of paper in here. I highly recommend when you start a fire that you think of it in two ways. When you start a fire, think of it in two ways. You need to light a fire under the fuel load, but before you do that, we need to warm the flue. And the flue is cold. It's got a very cold temperature, and that is difficult for one lonely match to light a fuel load and lift a column of air. Remember high school physics, cold air is more dense and heavy than hot air. So we need to think of it in two ways. Number one, put fuel, light something like this and put it under it, but also you're going to want to light something like this and put it on top to create waste heat. That's right, waste heat. We want to waste some heat to lift the column of air before we attempt to do the functional job of lighting the fuel load. Now we're going to swing this shut. And then there's two important things we need to do with the air control. So we're just moving right along. This is your training. You're going to be certified in how to start a fire here when we're done. Over here we have two air controls. This is your main burn rate. It needs to go all the way up. Can you see the laser cut? Small, medium, and large holes. We need to go all the way up. That's going to bring in the fresh air, your main burn control fresh air. Down here, this is the most complicated piece of equipment in the world when it comes to Quadrafire, but if you can get certified and learn how to use this, it's the most impressive air tool. You'll notice over here there are 3 different levels, 1, 2, 3, small, medium, and large, and it says rear air. Then you'll notice there's a timer mechanism with a big X and a looping arrow. We'll tell you what that is. And then there's high. So think of these, all of this as one unit, and high as a separate unit, and I think that'll help. So here's what they want you to do to activate your startup air. You pull it forward. We're all the way forward. You push it all the way back. And then you put it in any one of this 3/4 of the slot area. So we can put it right here. That'll give me a maximum burn rate. This will give me a medium burn rate, and then the lowest one. I think they glued the sticker on a little off. So again, all the way back, all the way forward, and then move it to where you want the burn rate to be. This operates a 1-inch diameter hole in the back of the stove, and if you listen very carefully, you can hear it go tick, tick, tick. It's a 25-minute timer. It basically does the job of you having the door open. So theoretically, you can do this with the door closed when you start up. This is your startup air. So that's why it says crank it all the way back, all the way forward, and then set your 1, 2, 3. Now, there's another option that's totally awesome on this. You can go all the way to the back and leave it. That will stop the timer, give you high airflow. And up in the mountains, we're running on thin air. Go ahead and zoom out just a little. We're running on thin air, so it's hard to get proper draft like the guys down at sea level in Seattle or back in New Hampshire. You guys are 500 feet high. You got lots of oxygen available. Up here in the mountains, we have very thin air, so we run at a higher burn rate just to get the same amount of oxygen in the fire that you do. All right, let's go ahead and pause here. We're gonna kind of rekindle this fire, and then we'll check back in about 15 minutes when it starts going. All right, now we're gonna wrap up the segment on this Quadrafire 2100 Millennium series. I'm gonna zoom in on that chimney top. The unit's been running for 25 minutes now. We're gonna go inside, but we're starting outside. I want you to see a couple things. First of all, pop quiz. What's wrong with this fuel firewood supply? That's right, it's not covered. It needs to be covered to keep the moisture and snow off. As that snow melts, it goes into the surface, that top 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch. It adds unnecessary latency of just the water has to evaporate before it can really do pyrolysis and all the rest of the burning process. Okay, let's zoom in on that top. Check the opacity of the smoke. We're looking for what? Pop quiz, 0. Now this is the remarkable thing. We're only 25 minutes in, and all I see is heat waves. Do you guys see the shimmering? I know it's a little bit different, a little bit hard to detect the movement of the pine needles behind, But do you see the vibrations, the heat waves right above the chimney cap and right on the left and right side? By the way, the cap is clear. At first I thought that thing was all clogged, but it is not. It's just a very black cap. Now, as we come inside, I noticed something that you're going to notice. Do you see in the sunlight, there's a lot of smoke in the room right now. These stoves, when they are brand new, they outgas right off the top. See that? That's not wood smoke. That's the paint curing. So the paint curing process can take up to 4 hours. We don't want to just have one giant fire at the very beginning, but the very first fire should be small to medium, and then the next one small to medium, 3 to 5 small to medium fires. Maybe the last one start really dumping some wood on there. But that wood supply you saw me load earlier in the video is the fuel supply that's continuing to burn. We have not opened the door yet, but we're going to open it now, and I'm going to show you one little thing from an installer perspective that happens with a brand new rope gasket. So first of all, there's a little bit of paint change at the top as this middle gray area is baking off. First of all, please note the amber spots. So that's where we've lost our our moving sheet of air. It's interrupted because of closeness to the proximity of the log to the glass. And then down in this area, we've got some ambering. But notice over on the right, very clean, clear glass because that log is not interrupting that supply. Now, I told you we'd open the door together, and I want you to try and listen carefully. There's going to be a tearing sound. Yeah, there wasn't too much of a tearing sound in this case. A lot of times at the factory, the guys paint the door with the gasket in place. So there's actually paint adhered on this surface. So the first time we light them up, it leaves, it sort of glues the paint that they've oversprayed on the door gasket to the face the first fire. So you got to kind of go easy the first time you open a door, just FYI. Now let's take a look up at that time, temperature, and turbulence. See it licking over that baffle? I'll try and give you a little more perspective from the right side here. Do you see it licking about 90 miles an hour over the top? That's what we want to see. That means there's good draft. And down here, we want to see a bed of coals, and then we can adjust the temperature with the burn rate on the upper right and the ACC on the lower right. And listen to that thing ping and ting. That's all normal. Pinging and tinging is normal on a steel stove as it expands and contracts. That's all normal sounds. So it'll do that when it warms up. It'll do that when it cools down. No problem. Hey, I want to give you all a very special Happy New Year's. Thanks for joining me on this channel and all that it's meant to us and our family as you've watched our videos. I hope it's helped you as technicians in the field, you as customers, how these stoves operate, and you can use my decades of experience to make your wood-burning life a little better. Hey, here's a quick little side benefit. A study has found that people who look at a fire 20 minutes a day have better connectivity with other people, lower stress hormones, heart disease. It's like taking a pill, but it's 20 minutes a day. The human eye, something happens when we see that vibrating, dancing yellow and orange flame. It allows us to take a deep breath, to calm, to relax, to center. I hope that you will have many special memories with your family in the years ahead around your wood, pellet, or gas burning appliance. And if you look back into your memory, some of the best conversations you have had are probably around a fire. All right, God bless, Happy New Year, and like and subscribe the video if it helped you.